up, E?
Where you at, Coach? Where you at?
Man, I'm at Pat's house, man. I'm out at Pat's house. I was with Sean Salisbury all night last night over here. Pat cooked it up. We grilled. We smoked some full ham, some cowboy steaks. We were talking about you all night, man. We were just bullshitting. We had a bunch of guys over here last night. Let me ask you something. What's your takeaway with this whole AR5 thing? I know we talked. I just talked to Smitty. I'm like, look, he was 11 for 25. He hasn't played. He's played 2 games. Is it the ownership and the GM at your level when you were playing, and is there guys in the locker room saying, man, Minshew's our guy to give us the best chance to win? We get AR5 as a freak, but Minshew gives us. Is there a locker room banter going on? But then they know ownership and GM's going to say, we got to fill these stands. This is what it is, or this is just AR5 team. When he's healthy, he plays. When he's not, Minshew plays. But Minshew wins. That team's not really built for AR5 right now without Taylor, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's some of those conversations going on, and
in the locker room.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, everybody knows, like, you know the situation you're in. So you draft a kid that high, you see the potential, right? Like you see him make some plays here and there. He has won games, right? Like he did bring him back regardless of how that happened, regardless of they were down. He wasn't really playing very well up until that point. He did bring him back and had a chance, right? So you know as a player, like, hey, man, like if we could play better, like as a defense player, hey, if we can play better, if we can get the ball back to a more, like, make it easier on AR, then we can start winning these close games, and he'll eventually come along, right? So I don't think I don't think it's that. When you look at both of them, I know what you're saying, but the way the team's built, how they need to run the ball, play action shots, like get the ball out quick, move the ball. With Minshew, it may be a better fit for him at this point. But honestly, like, I think they just have to run him more right now. Like, just run him 15 times a game until he can show that he can, make those throws from the pocket and get the ball out on time. Like, it's tough when you got 4th and 3 and you just have a quick, out route to the field and you throw it in the dirt. Like, that's just not, you just can't do that. And for me, let's just go to his strengths, like, hey, it's not asking him to do that. Run him, and then throw the ball deep. Like,
I just, like, we run him, and then isn't he going to miss games again? And we're back to Minshew, though? That's my only worry.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but let's do what he does best at this point.
I hear you that way, too.
If you're not, it's at any level. Like, well, what does he do best? How are we going to manufacture ways to win still while developing him? Like, that's the situation they're in. Now, you can easily can him, but that's the easy way out, quite honestly. You've said he's the guy. It's on the coaches to get him better each week. He's got to show progress. He's got to show some development, all the while, like, playing. Like, it's not easy. No one's saying it's easy, but I just think, like, if those are his strengths, just like Fields last year, like, they were able to win all the while doing things that he needed to get better at. Obviously, it's a train wreck this year, but last year they were running them.
They were in games. They were in a lot of games last year. I know they only won 3 games or whatever, but they were in a lot of games in Chicago, like 3-point games last year. This year's team looks like shit. They're forcing something that he's not doing. Yesterday he looked more comfortable, but again, same result. What about Bryce Young in Carolina? The red rifle, the old stiff white back there in the pocket. Seems like he's a lot better fit for that roster too. But I guess at this point, are you just like, we know that we're not winning, we're going to go with the youth? Or at what point does the players like, hey, man, we want to win games? Or are they all agreeing to like,
Yeah, it's Gosh, it's such a tough situation, man. I mean, I was never in it. You know, I was on a couple bad teams where we just weren't very good, but never was a situation where I was quarterback. And
because you hear so much about tanking nowadays, Weddle. It's like, to me, it's like, there's no way a grown professional person is going to tank for a Caleb Williams sweepstake bullshit. Like, I'm tired of hearing that shit. And I'm like,
no chance.
Exactly. And I'm like, why are we talking about this? We always say that. It's like, but I don't know. Like, with that talk is out there, that's the only reason we bring this shit up.
Yeah. It's just like, for a young quarterback, if you don't get in a situation where you're that, like an Andrew Luck, like a guy that comes in ready, right? Like his game translates. He's able to carry a team from the onset. Like, that's very rare. And these guys are good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they have flashes, but it's tough to carry a team when your team is not very good, especially at that position. And if you don't have everything going on your side, where the processing, the understanding of defenses, the understanding of the offense, and the time it takes to master these offenses, it takes years. Like, defense is much easier to come in and play, I think, at certain positions. You know, every position is different. But, I mean, it took me by my third year where I felt like I knew everyone's job on defense. I knew everyone's responsibility. I knew where everyone aligned. I knew play-to-play basis on if something messed up, I was able to go to the player and go tell him, hey, you got to stay in this gap, or you need to get over the top when you see this pulling guard, or, hey, we need to stay on top of this route on this backside post. Like, it took me a few years to get to that point. Now, to flip that around and put that in the QB's perspective of all the different variations, all the words, all the different defenses that you don't have any experience with, is going to take time. But you have your valid points with these quarterbacks. I'm on the proponent of a young quarterback. If there's an available guy that could play and you're still able to compete and win, I would rather him sit at this level, because the guys are coming in, they're just not ready to play yet.
No, I agree. Weddle's wisdom is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. I got to ask you, Weddle, if you were going to give somebody some wisdom right now, what do you do with the Mormon MILF hunter, Zach Wilson, in New York? Do you trade and go get Kirk Cousins? Right now, looking at Minnesota, I know they won yesterday, but they struggled versus Carolina. They look bad. Is there a quarterback out there that you would make a splash, try to go get right now to save this great roster that's kind of being depleted in front of our very eyes in New York with the Jets? Like, is there a savior out there right now? Like, Cousins ain't going back to Minnesota. I believe everyone knows that. He knows it. The organization knows it.
Yeah.
Would you trade right now? Would you do that right now? Because I know that's a rumor.
Yeah. You know, I was pleasantly surprised at Zach's play yesterday. And, you know, people get it twisted. We have opinions, and, you know, people don't always agree with you or myself, because we're just honest and we just say what we see. If a guy is not playing very well, we say it. Like, it's not that we don't like the kid or we don't want him to be successful. Reality is he haven't been very good. Well, yesterday, man, he made some plays. He fought. He showed some toughness. He showed something that you'd want to see from your team, right? And as a teammate, not be a liability and actually show like you can stand tall, even though he still made some mistakes. He did make some plays, and I just don't know if there's even a chance to go get a Kirk Cousins. Like, you have no draft capital. Who are you going to want back if you're Minnesota? Like, I'm trying to take one of your young studs, honestly. Like, I'm trying to take, you know, is there a chance to get Sauce Gardner? Is there a chance to take one of, you know, maybe Jermaine Johnson? Like, I'm trying to take. I don't want your draft picks. Give me a cornerstone to build off of if I'm going to give up a quarterback. And, you know, they gave up so much to get A-Rod. So I just don't know if that's a realistic option to go get a established top-tier quarterback statistically in the regular season like a Kirk Cousins.
No, that's a good point. I know Cousins has a no trade. I think he can waive it. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I would agree with you. I'm gonna make it hard. Give me Jermaine. Give me somebody that's young, and you got a lot of D linemen over there. That's something that's probably would be a tradable asset.
Yeah, because Minnesota's in a similar situation. Like, they're not doing anything this year, so why am I just gonna go help out another franchise and not give me what I should? Like, if I'm going to trade Kirk Cousins, that's at least a first-round pick. At least, right? Like, he's a legit starter in this league and a top, whatever you want to rank him. But in the regular season, he's been a top 10 quarterback for the last 3-4 years. So he hasn't shown that he's declining. It's just Minnesota's not very good. So if you want him, you got to pony up, and this is what I want. I just don't see them doing that. And they're going to ride with Zach and see what he could do. After 3 weeks, you would have thought the way he played in the games that they were in, like, that I heard reports that this game was like, if you don't play well, like, you're done. And he played enough, but the reality is he the guy that's going to take you to the playoffs? If that answer is no, then we need to move on, and they already know that. So whether it's yes or no, I'm not saying one way or the other, but if internally that he isn't the guy, then let's move on.
Let me ask you this. Bill Belichick, legendary guy. Yeah. New England looks decrepit. I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't know. Like, are the players just over him and that style? Are we such a soft generation that there's just no way Belichick can ever get through to these guys? Is he? Or can he still rally this? Or are they just not very good? Mac Jones is starting to show that he's just not the guy. Bill O'Brien just seems like he can't get either. They have no outside weapons. I just be honest. They don't really have any weapons. They got Parker. He used to be with the Dolphins. They got a couple guys. They got rid of Bourne. I think he went to the Raiders. I thought that was a big loss for them. Like, what do they do in New England? What are they playing for? Another quarterback?
Here's the ship, and it's going like this. It's a sinking ship, and I don't think it's like, hey, Bill Belichick can't coach. I don't think it's he doesn't resonate with the guys. He doesn't know what he's doing. I just look at their roster on offense. Tell me a guy, honestly. Tell me a guy that you would want on your team.
I'm like, but hasn't it been like this for 4 or 5 years?
I hear a lot of times when you say when he builds rosters and he does things, I agree to an extent. I think he finds diamonds in the rough. But you look at his first or second round picks over the years, it's not good. And we went through it in San Diego in my last 3-4 years. When you don't hit on first or second round picks multiple years, when they don't become starters and guys, your team is ravaged. You set yourself back because the depth, because of the starters you lose from free agency, from old guys that you got to move on from. Well, that's how our team started to go downhill from all the success we had, because we didn't hit on our first round picks or second round picks, and we didn't replenish those starters. And I think that's the same. And the bottom line is, we say this all the time, Coach. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance. And I didn't like Mac Jones coming out. I don't know why they drafted him in the first place. He is a average Joe with no talent as an arm. Like, I can't stress this enough as a player. If you can't make the throws outside the numbers, you can't play. Defenses are too good, Coach. Like, I'm sorry. And the same thing. What did Buffalo do against the Dolphins? They packed the paint. They said, I'm going to make you throw outside the numbers. And what happened to Tua? He struggled because –
that's why I said is the recipe to beat him.
Yes, those – you can say what you want about some guys coming out that they get drafted too high. The reality is that AR5 got drafted because of how easy he could throw those throws. Now, is he very good throwing? No, he's not very good at all. But You'd rather have a guy that can make those throws than a guy who's can do everything but can't make those throws. Like, but then you have the outlier. Like, let's not say like you have to have only arm talent. Joe Burrow is the outlier, meaning he has enough, but you couple his mindset, his instincts, his QB IQ, like everything coupled with that, then you have a special quarterback, right? Because he can get away with those limitations. He does have limitations, just a tad compared to these other guys, but he makes up for it with everything else. So I don't know. It's just a little.
Let me ask you this as a perfect segue. Burrow looks bad. He's got to be injured. I'm going to ask Dr. Morris, who's on our show on Tuesday. He's got to be hurt, right?
He can't move.
Yeah, he can't move.
Yeah. Gosh, you're just hoping every time he goes out there that he doesn't blow his Achilles out, because you are stressing that leg, you're stressing that calf, and when that calf's not firing or not strong, everything else is going to start circulating through that leg, and you just hope something major doesn't come from it. But the guy's a tough SOB, man. Like, he's a fighter. He's a guy you'll run through a wall for. Like, you could tell by the way his teammates talk about him. So I love it. I respect it, but he can't sit back there and drive the ball, and he can't move. And as he's doing enough just because of his mind and how he plays the game, he's able to do it, but he's playing with one hand tied behind his back.
Yeah, he's struggling, man. I don't know what's going on with him. Let me ask you this. Pat says, "What's up, E-Web?"
Well, yeah,
Pat's chilling right here, man. Getting ready.
Look at that hair, baby.
Yeah, you got that haircut, dog. Hey, let me ask you this: the Bengals are they as bad as they look just because Burrow's hurt, or they got other issues?
Yeah, they should be 0-4, which is pretty crazy. It's just wild to think about that type of team. It does seem like something's off schematically, offensively. Jamar, for a fact Jamar Chase is frustrated. He says, "Man, I'm always open." Yeah, F it, man. I'm always effing open. And I agree. Listen, you got a dude like that. You need to throw. He needs at least 15 throws at his way, at the bare minimum, whether he's open or not. Like, you have a guy like that. I don't care what's going on. Like, you need to find a way, and it's just not happening. So where is the disconnect? I don't really know. I don't know what's going on inside. I don't know. Can Joe even make all those throws? I don't know, but there is something going on, and I don't see them figuring it out. They can, because Joe, they got it, but it's a tall task.
Man, it's bad at Cincy. I can't believe that. So we'll end the show like this. I got to ask you: did Brady cover up for all these inefficiencies in New England? Are we going to be talking about this in 10 years if Belichick don't ever win another one since Brady left and won one elsewhere? As I know, coaching matters, but you got to have the players as well, X's and O's and Jimmy's and Joe's. What's your take on this whole Brady debate? I know everyone in the world's debating it. It's only getting hotter for Bill because Brady won without him, and he hasn't done it without Brady. Is that a real thing in New England?
I 100% believe it's real. Now, I don't think it's in the sense that you take away who Coach Belichick is and what he's done coaching wise. Like, the guy still knows what he's doing coaching defense, and he still knows how to motivate, and he still knows how to build the team and the culture and those type of things. But I've said this all along, like, you think back to the times. Name me a top 10 wide receiver outside of Randy Moss that he ever played with.
Never. They had a lot of slow little white dudes.
You can't, right? You can't. And he did have some amazing tight ends, right? Like let's not talk about, he may have had the best all-time tight end ever. So that equates to maybe a number one wide receiver, right? Like I get all that, but man, talk about a guy elevating everybody around him, right? He made guys that were nobodies into studs, right? And those guys had ability, right? Like, let's not take away from the Edelmans and the Welkers and, well, his name was Brown and he played on defense, like, way back when. Even put him in at nickel and corner because they needed him. Like the number 80 was his number back in the day. But
yeah,
I think this only shows the greatness of Tom Brady even more. We all know how great he was, but man, you get guys that fit in that system where the ball comes out, quicks, shot plays, the hard play actions. Like it was a system made for a guy like Tom that he can make everyone around him that much better. Like it always felt like no matter who he had out there, like they had a chance because he was just like, the mindset was like, I don't care who I'm throwing to, I'll make it right. Like I'm the man. And so oftentimes nowadays, like that's not the case. Like I need this, I need that, especially in the NBA. I mean, I can't win without 4 other all-stars with me. Like, no, man, just go be the guy and figure it out, So it's a great topic. Great,
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough
reality of it.
Because I know I've had buddies of mine that's coached me that has interned and been there, minority internship program under Bill. I've had guys that go there every summer and coach under Bill, and they're like, dude, the dude's different as far as his planning, his prep, his organization, what he does. He goes, there's a lot of coaching in the NFL doing what he does. So I know he has I know he's done a lot of great things. Obviously, it's not just one thing. But, he did go, he did get Drew Bledsoe. I mean, Bledsoe, they had some good teams too. I mean, it wasn't just like they were just horrible before Brady. But what's up, man? Did you guys get a dub?
Man, we lost 49-43 in 4 overtimes.
Damn, you played a good team too, though.
Yeah, we played the top team in Division II. We're in Division II in San Diego, and they're ranked number 7 in San Diego, including Division I teams. So it was
damn, man, got it done.
Yeah, our boy. We had our chances, man. We had in regulation and in overtime twice. We missed a couple plays where we complete a ball here. We hit a guy who's wide open for a touch. We end up winning. So shoot, when gosh, I don't even want to go through it all, but
I hate
we were up 3 when we botched our snap PAT. So we should have been up 4. It should have been 27-23 with 2 minutes to go. And they ended up getting down to they had a 49-yard field goal to tie it, end of regulation. Where if we would have just made our PAT and not botched the snap, like they had to score a touchdown. So that's that. Yeah. And then we had, we overthrew a wide open guy in second overtime. No one within 5 yards of him. Wide open, overthrew him. So
but our boys fought. The original QB or what?
No, my short story to a longer story. My original starter quit during bye week because you reassess where you're at as a team and figure out what I can do better. Right? You always self-reflect first. What can I do better for the boys? Scheduling. Then we look at schematics, coaching, play calling, offense, defense. I call both sides. So what can I do better? How can we be more efficient? The reality was we were not very good. Quick game and drop back passing. And, you coach things up and for months, right? I had him, our starter, for 6 months and coaching him up on footwork and timing and what is he looking at. The reality was he still was making those mistakes. So I came to him, you're either coaching it or allowing it. And that is a real thing. And the reality hit after 5 weeks that I am allowing this to happen. I'm allowing him to take 7 steps on a quick 3 out of the gun and getting 11 yards depth and getting sacked. I mean, I'm allowing that. So I brought him up and I basically said, like, man, you're you're doing amazing things for us, right? You run the ball great. You throw the deep ball really well. You lead. You know, you're still the guy, but I'm going to give some reps to the backup in passing situations. Like, I'm going to give him a chance to get the ball out, try to make us better in the passing game. And bottom line is he didn't want to compete and he didn't want to get better, so he quit. Unfortunately. And, hey, as like you said, addition by subtraction is a real thing. And our boys rallied behind the other quarterbacks. I had to bring a sophomore up to rotate last week with the junior. And, man, we battled, man. They made mistakes, but they'll get better. The boys rallied around each other and the belief. And we'll be better from it. Unfortunately, you don't like seeing guys quit. And, you know, it's hard to have that attached to your name regardless of the situation. You got to fight through it. And
hey, before we leave, Josh Bailey, he's down there in San Diego. He's a huge fan. He played defense in college, obviously. He wanted to know what your take is on the private schools and the publics playing now each other and the opportunity to recruit those public schools, I guess.
Yeah, the private schools need to be in their own little league and conference.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't have any restrictions, right? I will get in trouble if I am talking to a kid from another high school or a youth kid. Like, if I just happen to talk to a youth kid, an 8th grader, and then he ends up coming to my school, and for some reason they say, like, yeah, Eric talked to him before, like, he could get denied, or I could get in trouble as a head coach. Where the private schools, you could have anyone on your campus. You can basically usher them into the student where you fill out paperwork to come join the school. They could literally take them in straight to the office, sign them papers, and boom, you're coming to the school. Like, how is that fair for everyone? So, no,
hey, you got to address this for me before you leave.
Yeah.
What is your take on this high school kid at Calabasas out here in Cali, sitting out this whole season to go to Colorado, his senior year of high school? Like, I don't believe you can ever get back your senior in high school. I mean, I know you can't, but like, who's directing this, and is this the future? Is this what's going to happen? If a kid walks into your office tomorrow and says, "I'm not going to play next year," you're a top junior, what do you do?
I'm sure I didn't even know this happened or is going on. So
you know, the number one kid at Calabasas, I think he's the number one big time wideout, I believe, at Calabasas High. Uh-huh. He's sitting out his senior year, going to check in early.
Get there in December, January for spring.
Yeah, but it'll be a year early though. Remember, it's not a normal early grad kid. This is a kid that's going to miss his whole senior year of high school as well. Not like he played his senior year and then checked out and graduated early and got. This is
playing right now.
This is a junior.
He's playing right now, and then he said he's not going to play next year for my senior year.
Yeah, and I know Chris in the chat she's a cheer coach out there in Calabasas. He said the parents are making the decision. He's accelerating his classes to leave early.
Yeah, I'm reading through it right now. If he was playing with my team and we still had games left, and he came and told me that
he played 3 games, I think, and then he's done, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have told me that, and then he said, "I'm not playing next year, I'm sitting out, or I'm going somewhere else," then I would have told him he's not playing for me anymore.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I don't know what these people are doing. Listen, everyone thinks they're going to the NFL, man, and that's their way out. So when you have that thought from the parents and the money that goes into it and the investment in your kid, like I'm all about giving your kid an opportunity and training them and this and that, but the goal is to build up, right, and to teach them how to live and how to be responsible. And for my son, like, the goal is, I tell him all the time, if those things happen, like, they happen, but I'm not banking on you getting a scholarship, because I know how hard it is, man. Like, you have to be the best of the best. You have to be not only the best on your team, you have to be the best in San Diego, quite honestly, to be able to get a scholarship at your position, your complexion, if we're being honest. Like, it's just the reality. So I just tell them, like, man, just have fun and enjoy and work hard and get good grades. And hey, maybe that's not in the plans. Like, I still love you. Like, it's all good. But these kids, man, that's all they think about. And then their parents are pressuring them. And now they feel all this external pressure from their parents and the money and this and that. I have it with some kids on my team. And I have to tell their parents, like, you need to chill out because your kid's not good enough to play Division III football, let alone Division I. So, and I'm going to help them as best I can. But come on, man. Like, it's unfortunate. That's the way it's going. Look at what college, that's what's going to trickle down to high school. And it's the minute I can't coach and teach, mentor the way that needs to be done for these kids, and I'll just stop coaching.
You got to get out. Yep. I know. That's how I feel, man. That's why I don't know if I can go back. It'd be great and all, but I don't know. After Trent Dilfer's deal yesterday, I don't know if you've seen that.
Everyone freaks out. Like, nobody knows what he's yelling at, what he's freaking out about. Nobody knows why he got so mad. It could have been anything, and the coaches are just taking it, right? Like, that's no.
I didn't see the coaches trying to fight him.
Nobody gets this. Like, everyone freaks out. It's like, guys, he is the head coach. Now, could he have not blown up? Yeah, he couldn't have, but he did. And so what? Right? Like, are you check your ego at the door when you come to work in football? Like, that is the case. There are no egos. We don't hurt feelings around here. Like, I don't understand why that's so hard to understand in the game of football. Like, but it is, because look at the backlash you got from that that tweet you had. Like, and I get it, and I'm sure the coach is like, now do I agree with just blowing up and whatever? Like, so let's just say everything was at face value, and he was just hammering his coaches, just getting in on them for whatever reason. Like, is that the way I coach? No. But would I, like, get mad at it? No. Like, that's coach being a coach, right? And in the moment, you sometimes lose your mind, right? Like, that's just the reality of it. And nobody knows what he was getting mad about. That's the crazy part. Like, if it was such a bad deal, do you think these coaches would be the next day be like, man, I'm quitting, man.
I'm done.
What he did to me was wrong. You can't do that. No, that's not happening. You don't even hear a peep from it. So everyone just needs to relax, right? And just understand, like, no one comes to your jobs, like we say. We don't critique your jobs. We don't critique how you handle your team or your leadership qualities. Like, but just since we're on TV, everything is under a microscope from the injuries or how you talk or how you treat. Like, Coach Dilfer could be amazing 99% of the time and treat his coaches like $1 million and treat his families right. Nobody knows how he is 23 hours, 49 minutes out of the day. But you see that one instance and he needs to be fired now, or he's a bad guy, or he's a racist. Like, seriously? Like,
no, Erlacher called me yesterday, and he was golfing down in Cali, and he's like, this shit's crazy, dog. He's like, I'm so over this shit. He's like, I haven't seen any of the coaches come forward. And why don't we talk about the fact that this guy hired these guys, and those guys wanted the job, obviously, and they understand with the job comes results, and it's a result-oriented business. And if you screw up at Walmart, if you're bagging groceries and screw up at Walmart, you're going to get fired. You may not get cussed out like that and all that in the office space, but guess what? This is results-oriented, and you knew what you signed up for. And by the way, you wanted the job, and that man hired you. He 100%. Gave you the opportunity. It ain't personal. It's business.
It's never personal. You know, and I'm sure, honestly, the way Dilfer is, he probably recognized that and owned it. Like, whatever he said or not. Like, and at the end of the day, like, coaches understand that. Coaches, and even players for that matter, like, in the moment, in the games, like, things are said, things are done that you understand that it has no reflection of the relationship or the way things are done outside of that 3-hour window. because it does get heated. You are passionate individuals. You're trying to do a job at the highest level. So things are said at times, and then the real ones own it and move forward. Like that's how it is, and that's how you hold that respect. Like, hey, man, I probably shouldn't have done that, but the reality is I did. So what? Doesn't mean I don't care about you. Doesn't mean I don't love you, right? I do appreciate what you're doing. Like, but listen, if you think that if I hurt your feelings, then you probably shouldn't coach here. So it's crazy. It's wild. Like, nobody knows what he said. That's the craziest part. Everyone's commenting, and nobody knows what he said. Nobody knows why he was mad. Like, it could have been 1,000 reasons, and it just so happened that it looked like he was just saying.
And he went after 3 different coaches.
Yes, yeah, so, like could have been substitution. It could have been a play call. It could have been maybe we didn't get a timeout. Maybe there was a hurt guy and he's pissed off because he's not in the game. Like, there's so many different factors. Like, okay, does it take away the fact that he erupted on the sidelines? No, but he did, and that's his choice. Like, so what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Man, it's Weddle Mondays right here. Right? I appreciate you, E, as always. Enjoy the week, man. Go get after the kids. I know you got to practice later on.
Always enjoy it.